Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are reading from the Sonnets by Ted Berrigan. In Sonnet 87, Ted Berrigan wrote, quote, "These sonnets are an homage to myself, absence of passion, principles, love," end of quote. The sonnet is dedicated to Joe Brainerd. Alice Notley, who was married to Ted Berrigan and a renowned poet, wrote in her introduction, quote, "According to Ted Berrigan, the Sonnets was written in March, April, and May when the author was 28 years old. The Sonnets," Alice Notley continues, "is, quote, about friends and loves, but it's also about painting, music, architecture, philosophy, novels, the movies, and cultural icons. It's about life becoming art and what that feels and looks like," end of quote. Ted Berrigan was born in 1934 in Providence, Rhode Island. He attended the University of Tulsa, where he received a BA in 1959 and an MA in 1962. He moved to New York City, where he lived on the Lower East Side. He was a member of the second generation New York poets. Ted Berrigan died in 1983. He said, quote, "One of my principal desires is to make my poems be like my life. I can't see myself the way that you can see me, but I can see everything else around me. If I can make everything around me be the way that is, presumably I can create the shape of the self inside the poem, because there is a person inside almost all the poems." Ted Berrigan was an influential, vibrant poet and teacher. The readers, in order of appearance, are Corinne Conley, Helen Richman, Kay Weissman, Ruth Elliott. Here's Corinne Conley.
Sonnet 1. His piercing pince nez, some dim frieze, hands point to a dim frieze in the dark night. In the book of his music, the corners have straightened, which owe their presence to our sleeping hands. The ox blood from the hands which play, for fire, for warmth, for hands, for growth. Is there room in the room that you room in? Upon his structured tomb. Still, they mean something, for the dance and the architecture weave among incidents may be portentous to him. We are the sleeping fragments of his sky, wind giving presence to fragments. Sonnet 3. Stronger than alcohol, more great than song, deep in whose reeds great elephants decay. I, an island, sail, and my shores toss on a fragrant evening, fraught with sadness, bristling hate. It's true, I weep too much. Dawns break slow kisses on the eyelids of the sea. What other men sometimes have thought they've seen. And since then I've been bathing in the poem, lifting her shadowy flowers up for me, and hurled by hurricanes to a birdless place, the waving flags, nor passed by prison ships. Oh, let me burst, and I be lost at sea, and fall on my knees then, womanly. Sonnet 4. Lord, it is time. Summer was very great. All sweetly spoke to her of me about your feet. So delicate and yet double E11. And high upon the Brooklyn Bridge alone, to breathe an old woman slop oatmeal. Loveliness that longs for butterfly. There is no pad as you lope across the trails and bosky dells. I often think sweet and sour pork, shoe repair, and scary. In cities I strained to gather my absurdities. He buckled on his gun, the one poised like Nijinsky, at every hand, my critic. And when I stand and clank, it gives me shoes. From a secret journal. My babies parade waving their innocent flags. An unpublished philosopher, a man who must column after column down colonnade of rust in my paintings, for they are present. I am wary of the mulkings of the pink promenade, went in the other direction to Tulsa, glistening, bristling, cousining, whatever disguises S of Christmas. John Wayne will clown with dreams, aspirations of presence, innocence gleaned, annealed. The world in its mysteries are explained, and the struggles of babies congeal. A hard core is formed. I wanted to be a cowboy. Doughboy will do. Romance of it all was overwhelming. Daylight of itself dissolving, and of course, it rained. Real life. 1. The fool. He eats of the fruits of the great specklebird pissing in the grass. Is it possible he is incomplete, bringing you ginger ale of the interminably frolicsome, gushing summer showers? You were a campfire girl, only a part-time mother and father. I was large, stern, acrid, and indissuadable. Ah, Bernie, we wear complete the indexed Webster unabridged dictionary. And lunch is not lacking, ants and clover on the grass. To think of you alone, suffering the poem of these states. Oh, Lord, it is bosky, giggling, happy here, and you and me, the juice, at last extinct. 2. The fiend. Red-faced and romping in the wind, I too am reading the technical journals, but keeping Christmas safe each city block with tailpin. My angels are losing patience, never win, except at night. Then I would, like a silken thread, tied round the solid blooming winter. Trees stand stark naked, guarding bridle paths. The cooling wind keeps blowing, and there is a faint chance in geometric boxes. It doesn't matter, though, to show he is your champion. Days are nursed on science fiction, and you tremble at the books upon the earth, as my strength and I walk out and look for you. Sonnet 21. On the green, a white boy goes. We may read about all those radio waves, and he walks. 3 ciphers and a fate fakir for the Fey Saints Parade. Today. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Today. Under a sky of burnt umber we bumble to forget. Bring the green boy white ways, as so we all must in the green jungle. Winds flip down the dark path of breath, the mean florists to buy green nosegays. Passage, the treasure, Gomangani. I thought about all those radio waves. Keats was a baiter of bears who died of lust. You lie, you lie. And the wind goes there. Sonnet 22. Go fly a kite, he writes, who cannot escape his own blue hair, who storms to the big earth and is not absent-minded, and who dumbly begs a key, and who cannot pay his way, racing down the blue, lugubrious rainway. Day breaks, and night is a quick pick-me-up. Rain is a wet, high, harried face. To walk is wet, hurried, high, safe, and game. Tiny bugs flit from pool to field and light on every bulb, whose backs hide doors down round wind tunnels. He is an umbrella. Many things are current. Simple night houses reign, standing pat in the breathless blue air. Sonnet 27. Andy Butt was drunk in the Parthenon bar. If only the Greeks were a band aid, he thought, then my woe would not flow o'er the land. He considered his honeydew hand. Oh woe, saith Andrew, a fruit in my hand may suffice to convey me to Greece, but I must have envy to live. A grasshopper, George, if you please. The bartender sees that our Andrew's awash on the sofa of wide melancholy. His wound he refurbishes, stealthily shifty-eyed o'er the rooms. Your trolley car, sir, said Andy. You bloody well emptied the Parthenon. A fruitful vista, this our south, laughs Andrew to his paw, but his rough woe slithers o'er the land. And my final sonnet, 28. To gentle, pleasant strains, just homely enough to be beautiful, in the dark neighborhoods of my own sad youth. I fall in love once, 7,000 feet over one green schoolboy's summer. I dug 200 graves. Laughing, put away your books. Who shall speak of us when we are gone? Let them wear scarves in the once-a-day's snow, crying in the kitchen of my heart. Oh, my love, I will weep a less bitter truth till other times, making a minor repair, a breath of cool rain in those streets, clinging together with slightly detached air.
29. Now she guards her chalice in a temple of fear, calm before a storm. Yet your brooding eyes or acquiescence soon cease to be answers, and your soft dark hair, a means of speaking, becomes too much to bear. Sometimes, in a rare, unconscious moment, alone this sudden darkness in a toy box. Christine's classic beauty, Okinawa, to laugh autumn gone and spring a long way off, is loving you. When need exceeds means, I read the evening world, the sports, the funnies, the vital statistics, the news. Okinawa was John Wayne movie to me. 30. Into the closed air of the slow, now she guards her chalice in a temple of fear. Each tree stands alone in stillness to gentle, pleasant strains. Dear Marge, hello. It is 5:15 a.m. Andy Butt was drunk in the Parthenon. Harum-scarum haze on the Pollock streets. This excitement to be all of night, Henry. Ah, Bernie, to think of you alone, suffering. It is such a good thing to be in love with you. On the green, a white boy goes. He's braver than I, brother. Many things are current, and of these the least are not always children. On the 15th day of November, in the year of the motor car. Sonnet 31. And then one morning to waken perfect-faced to the big promise of emptiness in a terrible Ozark storm, pleasing John Greenleaf Whittier. Speckled marble bangs against his soiled green feet, and each sleeping sun is broke-backed and dumb in fever and sleep processional. Voyages harass the graver and grope underneath the most serious labor. Darius feared the boats. Meanwhile, John Greenleaf Whittier was writing. Meanwhile, Grandma thought wistfully of international sock fame. Down the John G. Whittier Railroad Road in the morning sea mouth. Sonnet 32. The blue day, in the air, winds dance. Now our own children are strangled down in the bubbling quadrangle. To thicken, he felt his head, returning past the houses he passed. Goodbye, Bernie. Goodbye, Carol. Goodbye, Marge. Davy Crockett was nothing like Jesse James. A farmer drove up on a tractor. He said he was puzzled by the meaning exactly of block. The blue day. Where else can we go to escape from our tedious homes and perhaps recapture the past? Now our own children are returning past the houses. I sit at my dust-patterned desk littered with 4-month dust. The air beginning to thicken in the square, on the farm, in my white block hair. Sonnet 34. Time flies by like a great whale, and I find my hand grows stale at the throttle of my many-faceted and fake appearance, who bucks and pouts by detour under the sheets, hollow portals of solid appearance. Movies are poems, a holy Bible, the great mother to us. People go by in the fragrant day, accelerate softly my blood, but blood is still blood, and tall as a mountain blood. Behind me green rubber grows, feet walk in wet water, and dusty heads grow wide. Padre, father, or fat old man, as you will, I am afraid to succeed, afraid to fail. Tell me now again who I am. Sonnet 36. After Frank O'Hara. It's 8:54 a.m. in Brooklyn. It's the 28th of July, and it's probably 8:54 in Manhattan. But I'm in Brooklyn. I'm eating English muffins and drinking Pepsi. And I'm thinking of how Brooklyn is New York City too. How odd. I usually think of it as something all its own, like Bellow Falls and Little Chute and Tumungu. I never thought on the Williamsburg Bridge I'd come so much to Brooklyn just to see lawyers and cops who don't even carry guns taking my wife away and bringing her back. No, and I never thought Dick would be back at Gould's, beard shaved off, long hair cut, and Carol reading his books when we were playing cribbage and watching the sun come up over the Navy Yard across the river. I think I was thinking when I was ahead, I'd be somewhere like Perry Street, erudite, dazzling, slim, and badly loved, contemplating my new book of poems to be printed in simple type on old brown paper, feminine, marvelous, and tough. 41. Banging around in a cigarette. She isn't in love. My dream, a drink with Ira Hayes. We discuss the code of the West. My hands make love to my body when my arms are around you. You never tell me your name. And I am forced to write belly when I mean love. Au revoir. Scene. I waken, read, write long letters, and wander restlessly when leaves are blowing. My dream a crumpled horn. In advance of the broken arm, she murmurs of signs to her fingers, weeps in the morning to waken so shackled with love. Not me. I like to beat people up. My dream, a white tree. 43. In my paintings, for they are present, dreams, aspirations of presence. And he walks wed to wakefulness, night which is not death, rivers of annoyance. Undermine the arrangements. We remove a hand washed by Joe's throbbing hands. Today, itself a signal. She is introspection. Each tree stands alone in stillness. Scanning the long selves of the shore, in Joe Brainard's collage, there is no such thing as a breakdown. Trains go by, and they are trains. He hears the feet of the men racing to be him to wait. Sonnet 44. The withered leaves fly higher than dolls can see. A watchdog barks in the night. Joyful ants nest in the roof of my tree. There is only off-white mescaline to be had. Anne is writing poems to me and worrying about making it. And Ron is writing poems and worrying about making it. And Pat is worrying but not working on anything. And Good is worrying about his sex life. It is 1959, and I am waiting for the mail. Who cares about Tuesday? Jacques-Louis David, normalcy day? Boston beat New York 3-1. It could have been Carolyn. Providence is as close to Montana as Tulsa. He buckles on his gun, the one Steve left him. His stand-in was named Herman, but came rarely.
Sonnet 46. Lines for Lauren Owen. Harum-scarum haze on the Pollock streets. The fleet drifts in on an angry tidal wave. Drifts of Johann Strauss. The withering weather of polytonic breezes gathering in the gathering winds. Of a plush palace, shimmering velvet red in the trembling afternoon, a dark trance. The cherrywood romances of rainy cobblestones, mysterious Billy Smith, a fantastic trigger, melodic signs of Arabic adventure, a boy first sought in Tucson, Arizona, or on the vast salt deserts of America, where Snow White sleeps among the silent dwarfs. Sonnet 50. I like to beat people up. Absence of passion, principles, love. She murmurs, "What just popped into my eye was a fiend's umbrella, and if you should come and pinch me now as I go out for coffee." As I was saying, winter of 18 lumps. Days produce life locations to banish 7-Up. Nomads, my babies, where are you? Life's my dream, which is gunfire in my poem. Orange cavities of dreams stir inside the poems. Whatever is going to happen is already happening. Some people prefer the interior monologue. I like to beat people up. Sonnet 55. Grace to be born and live as variously as possible, by Frank O'Hara. Grace to be born and live as variously as possible. White boats, green banks, black dust, a tremble, massive as Anne's thighs upon the page. I rage in a blue shirt at a brown desk in a bright room sustained by a bellyful of pills. The poems is not a dream, for all things come to them gratuitously. In quick New York, we imagine the blue Charles. Patsy awakens in heat and ready to squabble. No poems, she demands in a blanket command. Belly to hot belly we have laid, serenely white. Only our sweating pores are true in the empty night. Baffling combustions are everywhere. We hunger and taste and go to the movies and then run home drenched in flame to the grace of the make-believe bed. Sonnet 59. In Joe Brainerd's collage, its white arrow does not point to William Carlos Williams. He is not in it, the hungry dead doctor. What is in it is 16 ripped pictures of Marilyn Monroe, her white teeth whitewashed by Joe's throbbing hands. Today, I am truly upset because Marilyn Monroe died. So I went to a matinee B movie and ate king corn popcorn, he wrote in his diary. The black heart beside the 15 pieces of glass in Joe Brainard's collage takes the eye away from the gray words. Doctor, but they say, I love you. And the sonnet is not dead. Sonnet 60. Old prophets, help me to believe New York. Sacerdotal, drink it, take a pill, blocks of blooming winter. Patricia was abed, Patsy gone. The best fighter in Troy be bride and groom and priest. In pajamas, sweet girls will bring you candied apples. Drummer boys and choo-choos will astound you. Arrête, I, thus I, again I. And then the organ grinder's monkey does his dance. Ted, Ron, Dick, Didactic, unmelodic, roisters here assembled shatter my zest. Berrigan, secretly Hector, games, etc. More books, Rilke, Stevens, Pound, Auden, and Frank. Some kind of Bowery Santa Clauses. I wonder who am about to die. The necessary lies. Sonnet 65. Dreams, aspirations of presence, innocence gleamed, annealed. The world in its mysteries are explained, and the struggles of babies congeal. A hard core is formed. Today I thought about all those radio waves. He eats of the fruits of the great speckled bird pissing on the grass. I too am reading the technical journals. Rivers of annoyance undermine the arrangements. Someone said Blake Blues and someone else Pillhead, meaning bloodhounds. Washed by Joe's throbbing hands, she is introspection. It is a Chinese signal. There is no such thing as a breakdown. Sonnet 67. Clarity, clarity, a semblance of motion, omniscience. There is no such thing as a breakdown to cover the tracks of the hammer. The morning sky gets blue and red, and I get worried about mountains of mounting pressure and the rust in the bolt on my door. Some kind of Bowery Santa Clauses. I wander down the street, the secret streets of Roaring Gap, a glass of chocolate milk, a head of lettuce. Dark Biederman is dead. Chris is dead. Jacques Villon is dead. Patsy awakens in heat and ready to squabble. I wonder if people talk about me secretly. I wonder if I'm fooling myself about pills. I wonder what's in the icebox. Out we go to the loony movie and the grace of the make-believe bed. Sonnet 68. I am closing my window. Tears silence the wind and the rust on the bolt of my door. Mud on the first day, night rather, littered with soup, cigarette butts, the heavy getting used to using each other. My dream, a drink with Ira Hayes. We discussed the code of the West. I think I was thinking when I was ahead to the big promise of emptiness. This excitement to be all of night, Henry. 3 ciphers and a faint fakir. And he walks. White lake trembles down to green goings-on of the interminably frolicsome, gushing summer showers. Everything running in this light to stones, which owe their presence to our sleeping hands. Sonnet 70, after Arthur Rimbaud. Sweeter than sour apples, flesh to boys, the brine of brackish water pierced my hope, cleansing me of rot-gut wine and puke, sweeping away my anchor in its swell. And since then I've been bathing in the poem of the star-steeped, milky, flowing mystic sea, devouring great sweeps of azure green, and watching flotsam, dead men float by me, where dying all the blue, the maddened flames and stately rhythms of the sun, stronger than alcohol, more great than song, fermented the bright red bitterness of love. I've seen skies split with light and night, with surfs, currents, waterspouts. I know what evening means, and doves, and I have seen what other men sometimes have thought they've seen. The end.
Sonnet 71. I know what evening means and doves, and I have seen what other men sometimes have thought they've seen. To cleave to a cast-off emotion. Clarity, clarity. My dream, a drink with Richard Gallup, we discussed the code of the West, of the interminably frolicsome, gushing summer showers. Getting used to, I am closing my window. My dream, a drink with Henry Miller, too soon for the broken arm. Hands point to a dim freeze in the dark night. Wind giving presence to fragments. Shall it be male or female in the tub? Barrel-assing Chevrolets grow bold. I summon to myself the Asiatic, and grok go under and greckle disappear. Sundown, manifesto, color and cognizance, and to cleave to a semblance of motion, omniscience. Sonnet 73. Dear Ron, Keats was a baiter of bears, etc. Tenseness, but strength outward, and the green flinging currents into pouring streams. The jeunes filles so rare. Today I think about all those radio waves, a slow going down of the morning land. The great speckled bird at last extinct, a reference to Herman Melville. At heart we are infinite, we are ethereal, we are weird. Each tree stands alone in stillness. Your head spins when the old bull rushes. Back in the city, he was not a midget and preferred to be known as a stunt man. Gosh, I gulp to be here in my skin. What thwarts this fear I love? Everything turns into writing, and who falters? I like to beat people up. Absence of principles, passion, love. White boats, green banks, grace to be born and live. Sonnet 74. The Academy of the Future is opening its doors. By John Ashbery. The Academy of the Future is opening its doors. My dream, a crumpled horn. Under the blue sky, the big earth is floating into the poems. A fruitful vista this, our South, laughs Andrew to his pa, but his rough woe slithers over the land. Fort Maddox Ford is not a dream. The farm was the family farm. On the real farm, I understood the poems. Red-faced and romping in the wind, I, too, am reading the technical journals. The only traveled sea that I still dream of is a cold black pond, where once on a fragrant evening, fraught with sadness, I launched a boat as frail as a butterfly. Sonnet 75. Surratt and Juan Gris combine this season to outline Central Park in geometric trillion pointed bright red, brown, and green gold blocks of blooming winter. Trees stand stark naked, guarding bridle paths, like Bowery Santa Clauses, keeping Christmas safe each city block. Thus I, red-faced and romping in the wind, whirl through mad Manhattan, dressed in books, looking for today with tailpin. I never placed it right, never win. It doesn't matter, though. The cooling wind keeps blowing, and my poems are coming, except at night. Then I walk out in the bleak village and look for you. Sonnet 77. Dear Chris, it is 3:17 a.m. in New York City. Yes, it is. 1962. It is the year of parrot fever. In Brandenburg and by the granite gates, the old come all ye's streel into the streets. Yes, it is now the season of delight. I am writing to you to say that I have gone mad. Now I am sowing the seeds which shall, when ripe, master the day and portion out the night. Be watching for me when blood flows down the streets. Pineapples are a sign that I am coming. My darling, it is nearly time. Dress the snowman in the Easter sonnet we made for him when scissors were in style. For now, goodbye and all my love. The Snake. Sonnet 78. Or 73, I can't tell. Oh, 78, okay. Woman is singing the song and summer, only to others meaning poems, because everything's sorry about West Point. But where else was one to go? Southwest lost doubloon's rest. No comforts drift on dream smoke, against whose griefs I would most assuage. A cast-off emotion, a hardcore is formed. Music strides through these poems just as it strides through me. My dream, a drink with Lonnie Johnson. We discuss the code of the West. After Ticonderoga. Beware of Benjamin Franklin. He is totally lacking in grace. What else? Because he tended to think of truth as the king's birthday list. This is called Black Nausea by Sears. My dream, dear Chris, hello. It is 3:17 a.m. Your name is now a household name, as is mine. And in any case, although I failed, now we need never be rivals. Sonnet 74, I think. Dear Ron, hello. Your name is now a household name, as is mine. We too suffer black spells. This is called Black Nausea by Sears, only to others meaning poems. In every way, now we are equal, except one. Fort Maddox Ford is not a dream. My dream, a drink with Henry Miller. We discuss the code of the West. He is not the poems. He shot me was once my favorite cast-off emotion. Now I rage in a blue shirt at a brown desk in a bright room. In Tulsa, Chris has said goodbye to Bernie. I never beat people up. The Academy of my dreams is opening its doors. A fat black woman is singing a song, and summer is the subject matter. Next to her, his nose couldn't grow, even if it does choke you up, and these marvelous tears keep appearing. '85. They basted his caption on top of the fat sheriff, the pig. Cowboys and banging on my sorrow with books. No lady dream around in any bad exposure. The dust fisher drains the gay dance. Joyful ants nest in the roof of my tree. Absence of passion, principles, love, she murmurs, is not genuine. It shines forth from the faces, and each sleeping sun is broke-backed and dumb. Davy Crockett was nothing like Jesse James, the most elegant present I could get. But blood is still blood, and tall as a mountain blood. Go to the sea, the lake, the tree, dazzling slim and badly loved. You are asleep. A lovely light is singing to itself. Sonnet 77. Beware of Benjamin Franklin. He is totally lacking in grace. This is called Black Nausea by Sears. They basted his caption on top of the fat sheriff. These sonnets are an homage to King Ubu. Fasten your crimson garter around his servile heart, with which he pours forth interminably the poems of these states, scanning the long selves of the shore, and gift, great black rat packs were running amok amidst the murk of these states. Outside my room, these sonnets are an homage to myself. Absence of passion, principles, love, the most elegant present I could get. This is called Black Nausea by Sears.
Thank you all for your superb readings of these difficult, challenging sonnets. You know, could you all come on the screen, Kay and Corinne and Helen and Phoebe? You know, these poems have, they have repetition in them. They're tender, they're playful, they're humorous, they're loving. There's odd juxtapositions, there's alliteration, and there's a collage, the way they're put together. You know, they're influenced by Cubism and collage, and they're also influenced by John O'Hara and Frank O'Hara and John Ashbery. Jennifer, did you want to say something?
Phoebe is joining now. And I will go away. Thank you guys. It was beautiful and complex and beautiful.
Let's start with Corinne, and then Helen, and then Kay, and then Ruthie, and then Phoebe. And we'll end with Phoebe because Phoebe knew Ted Berrigan. So,
that's cool.
Corinne, what would you like to say?
Well, I'm really more interested in hearing what Phoebe has to say because I feel not enlightened by my reading of the poems. I loved listening to. Love listening to them being read. They're musical and fun to listen to. But no, it needs a really, I think, a knowledgeable person like Phoebe. And I'd like to hear some insight to these rather baffling poems, as far as I'm concerned.
Helen, let's just finish. Let's just go in the order of the readers, and then Phoebe can wrap it up. Helen, Kay, and then Ruthie, and then Phoebe.
Well, I did a little research because I was wondering where this poet was coming from. And it seems that he's very interested in a new form of poetry. And he actually would go back to his former poems, and he would take out a line, and then he would put it into the poem he's writing until he had 6. Then he would go backwards into the poems and get 6 more lines from poems he already had written, and then the couplet came by itself. So that was his process of writing these sonnets, and like Corinne said, this is difficult thing to read, very difficult.
Okay.
Oh, well, it was easy for me. No. No, it was wonderful. I didn't know what I was talking about, but I enjoyed it. I had a wonderful time reading him and delighted by him and surprised by him in many ways. So I don't have much to say. I can't wait to hear what Phoebe has to say.
Ruthie?
Well, I felt like I was listening to somebody who was just kind of like a stream of consciousness, just saying things that were in his head, and you almost had to, be in on the secret code. Like, certain friends, they know that, like, if you say some phrase, it'll mean something more than what it actually most people think literally that it means. And so it was kind of like being, you had to sort of think, well, let's see, what does he mean by this? But since he referred to the same ideas so often during the sonnets, you started to feel like he was going back in his mind and visiting feelings and experiences that had happened before that evoked emotion in him. It was interesting.
Phoebe, you got about a minute.
Okay. I think the key to this is don't worry about trying to find meaning in them. Ted loved language, and this is all about his love of language. I forgot how much he loved the word bosky. I'm not even sure what the word bosky means, but I'm going to go look it up. But that's in a lot of his poems. And he loved language, and he loved to talk, and he took a lot of pills. So he was always high, and he drank an amazing amount of Pepsi. I remember he was staying. Do I have another minute to tell you a story?
Yes.
He was staying with us in Bolinas when I was married to Lewis McAdams. And he was like talking nonstop. And, Bolinas is this beautiful town in north of San Francisco. And we just thought one day, we have to get away. We have just got to get away and have a little peace and quiet for a few minutes. So we kind of snuck out of the house and went on this walk. We were on this path. We were walking along. And all of a sudden behind us, we just heard these words coming over the hillside. And we realized that Ted was following us on the path and just talking nonstop. So, I mean, he loved words, and that's, I think, if you just go with that and don't worry about what it means, but just go with the joy and the funny juxtaposition of these words. I mean, there's so much humor and joy in this work, but you can't worry about what it means.
Yes.
You'll get lost.
What would you like to say, Beth? We have about a minute.
Okay. Well, what I love that story from Phoebe. I read about Ted Berrigan too, and he was quoted as saying he gave back his master's degree because he refused to be called a master. He said he wrote poetry. He was not a master of it, which I very much admire. And then I also want to say, as a fellow poet, I often cannibalize things from my poems. I go, what was that line I said once? Oh, I know. And then I'll borrow it and put it in another poem. There's a way in which he's having a conversation with the world, and a way in which all poets are having a conversation with their readers. And the engaging part of it is maybe not what they're meaning, but probably their presence inside of the poem. And if they're actually with you in the room like they were with Phoebe.
Thank you very much, all of you, for such a good reading. I like it because it's experimental.
Yes.
In the 60s and the 70s, there was so much experimentation. And it seems today all people talk about is story. So I like to see people trying to invent new forms in the poetry world. So thank you all very much. You did a marvelous job. Next Tuesday, we have two terrific international poets, the Himalayan poet, Yuyutsu Sharma, an American poet who also teaches in Prague, James Reagan. So thank you. And here's Jennifer Clymer.
Thank you all so much. Another beautiful poetry hour. Thank you, Harry.